It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles.
Good morning. Welcome in at Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. I'm Jeff Parles. Alex White is alongside. They did not bring the confetti for us, Alex. It's our 200th episode.
Sean's getting it right now. We can do it on a graphic.
Yeah, that's not as fun.
No, you need actual confetti.
We need all the confetti here. If it was Frank's 200th episode, we'd have confetti. We'd have elephants. We'd have the whole circus would be here for Frank's thing. The Clydesdales,
decorated.
The Clydesdales would have made their way in.
Absolutely.
It's what happens. This is what happens when it's not Frank Nicotero here on the desk. I kid slightly. We're happy to be with you as always. Congratulations to us, 200 episodes. Yay, we did it. We did it. We haven't been canceled yet. Very good. Very good. It's only Drew Dog and Sean back there today. Sean, who's now the master of useless facts back there. So we're always happy with that. Sean, let the thing go across the screen. Let the thing go across the screen. Let's get this thing going. Uh-oh. Oh, there it is. Honestly, it should just be Sean's sound effects on the starting five. Kicking it off in the association game 3. Dallas, the site, the Mavs, the Thunder. They split in OKC. Dallas returns home. 2.5-point favorites with a total of 217.5. Luka Doncic, of course, questionable again. He is as questionable for that game as I am for this show, Alex White.
It's starting to look a lot like the Mavs and the Clippers series here, a little bit of zigzag theory. So we will break that down and see where our thoughts are. Number 2, the Cavs host Boston Celtics after stealing game 2 in Boston. Celtics laying 8 on the road, though, total 211.5.
I wonder where your allegiance is today, Alex. I'm very curious to see where you are on that game coming up in about less than 10 minutes before we get to all those games on the hardwood here today. Game 4 on the ice. The New York Rangers look to sweep the pre-tournament favorite Carolina Hurricanes out of the postseason. The Rangers, of course, overtime winner in Game 3. Igor Shesterkin's been awesome in this series. And the Canes still favored, though, in this one, minus 145, 5.5 the total. But the Rangers looking to party like it's 1994, looking to move to 8-0 in this postseason, Alex.
It really is incredible what Shesterkin has done. I mean, the Canes have outshot the Rangers in every game, and he's had 54 saves, 45 saves. It's been incredible. But favorites are 31-22 in the playoffs so far in the NHL. We'll see if the Canes can steal one here tonight. Number 4, tied up in the series, Colorado and the Stars. Colorado minus 136.5 now. We're seeing this total juiced to the under a little bit, minus 115. But the Avs game 6-1 to the over so far in the playoffs.
The best series on the board remaining at this point is Colorado and Dallas series. Even though Edmonton and Vancouver,
I was going to say,
on paper doesn't look like the best series, but been wacky 2 games so far north of the border. We'll recap that in about 20 minutes from now. And then number 5, the big baseball news of a Saturday, Paul Skeens, number 1 overall pick in last year's MLB draft. Major league debut today on the banks of the Three Rivers in Pittsburgh. Awesome pitching matchup in this game. Justin Steele makes his second start off the IL. The Cubs and the Pirates in this one. Right now, it is a slight favored of the Cubbies behind us, $1.10 favorites, even money on the dime line on Skeens in his debut. Alex, we'll actually talk about this a little bit later because, of course, people will draw comparisons to the debut of Steven Strasburg over a decade ago now, remember, 14 strikeouts in his major league debut. Skeens, all those strikeout props out there today. I will be on one. It's just a matter of which number will we be betting today with Skeens, who is just basically striking out every other batter in AAA so far this year.
Correct. Dominating AAA, consistently hitting 102, has a full 5-pitch arsenal. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this game. And you're right, it is a good pitching matchup. We didn't get to hear what the bet was between Frank Nicotero and Ryan because we know these are both of their teams. So
Hopefully, we'll find out on Monday when we're on the golf course, Alex. Hopefully, that will be the case where someone's doing something ridiculous. Well, not too ridiculous. We're in public. We have to be somewhat in line on Monday. We're looking forward to that. Well, plenty of content from the golf outing up north here in Vegas on Monday, and that's your starting five here for today. Alex, let's update some series prices here, and we will start with the two games last night in the association. The New York Knicks, oh so close last night, even without OG Anunoby, who looks to seemingly be missing time here. And again, a pretty miraculous shot by Andrew Nebhard gives Indiana a win, but not a cover in game 3. Knicks $2 favorites now behind us to win this series. Jalen Brunson fought through the foot injury. For Indiana, it's just a matter of staying alive, Alex, and they found a way to stay alive. It's down to plus 175 on Indy, but as I've said all series long in this one, and there's no reason for me to back down after last night, this series screams home team goes 7-0, and the way this series has been officiated, there's no reason to think this series won't go 7-0 to the home team.
So I'm really impressed with the Knicks. I mean, they are just tough, even though they don't have the depth, but to do what they did last night. And that game was one of those ones where it didn't matter if you got the best number, right? I got 6, and of course they only won by 5, so it didn't matter what you had with the Pacers. Maybe looking at the Knicks in game 4, Jeff. So This is one where I know you said the home team should win out, but I mean, the Pacers defense is just struggled against this tough, gritty Knicks team. So I don't know. I think they may be able to finish this faster than 7 games.
So real quick for tomorrow, since obviously we're not here tomorrow. We're off on Sunday. And of course, happy Mother's Day to everyone out there tomorrow. The Pacers are 6 and it's 218.5. So basically the total has come back down finally and under in this series, barely yesterday. But again, this is one of those where at 6, I think I would actually take New York. I think I would take the points because all these games have just been so compact so far in this series, Alex.
And it's exactly what we saw with New York and the Sixers, right? I mean, they're very good, but not good enough to blow anyone out, and then good enough to hang in there, even when they are the underdog. So I do think there's value getting the 6 points with the Knicks in game 4.
And then the other game last night, the heart of the champion showed up, and that was the Denver Nuggets. For the first time, really, this whole postseason, Alex, because even in that series against the Lakers, they didn't play that well. They just found a way to win games in that series against the Lakers. Last night, they were dominant, a 27-point blowout. Maybe we'll get a close game in this series at some point, Alex. Minus 190 on Minnesota, plus 170 on the take-back for Denver. My brain is completely jumbled on this one now. I really don't know, because this has been really just, all right, which team actually decides to show up? Denver, game 1 was the closest one to both teams showing up. Minnesota found a way in that one. Denver no-showed game 2. Minnesota no-shows game 3. I'm not sure what to do with this here. It would not shock me at all if Denver now wins game 4 and then ends up winning this series in 7 because Minnesota blew their opportunity with winning the 2 at Mile High.
I'm with you, and I imagine that we will see some closer games here towards the end of this, but you're right. I mean, Denver looked so good. They shot 50% from 2 in the first game, 38 in the second, and then yesterday, 57%. So they really dominated on the boards, too. Impressive for the Nuggets. They really needed that win. I like their whole tactic. They were using videos of everybody saying that they were out, they were going to get swept, and they really stepped up. And you know, Curtis Terry came on our show yesterday and said the main thing right now is this is the defending champions. They know how to win. I think we're going to see some adjustments, and we definitely did. So maybe they have figured something out, because watching game 1 and 2, it sure looked like they didn't have an answer for this dominating Timberwolves team, but we saw yesterday.
Well, there were a few things in that game yesterday, and this is also, I mean, this also ties into both games yesterday. All these games are officiated completely differently, because Minnesota was allowed to get away with a lot of physicality in Denver. And then yesterday was a quick whistle throughout the whole game. Now, granted, after the game, Anthony Edwards put it all on himself. Hey, I was flat. I didn't show up. I can't do that in a playoff game. He knows that. That was the worst game he's played this whole postseason by a wide margin. It was the first time Minnesota's lost in the postseason this year. But look, credit to the Nuggets because that looked done and dusted through 2 games. Hey, Jamal Murray's not healthy. They are struggling with the defense. Their own defense was struggling in the first few games as well. But credit to Denver. And look, you can't count out the champs with the 3-time MVP who looked like the 3-time MVP, and Jamal Murray looked like playoff Jamal Murray last night. And if that ends up happening, a plus 170 is probably a reasonable bet for Denver. But my brain is so scrambled on this series that I'm not doing anything here.
Well, I'm a little concerned because the Timberwolves are at home for another game. So
Sure.
that one doesn't feel like it's a gimme for Denver.
Of course not.
Yeah. So that makes me a little concerned grabbing that plus 170 now because then if Minnesota does pull off this win, they've got a nice 3-1.
Well, if Minnesota holds serve in game 4, then yes, the task is very difficult for Denver. But who knows? Again, this series my brain is so jumbled up on this series at this point that I'm not sure exactly which way it will go. By the way, 2.5 for tomorrow, 204.5 on the total. I would not touch that personally for tomorrow. I'm this series more so than anything has me a little bit more confused more so than anything at this point. All right, to today on the hardwood, game 3. Oklahoma City goes south to Dallas to take on the Mavs. Dallas, of course, winning game 2. Big-time effort by Luka Doncic. And now won. He only got 9 points out of Kyrie Irving. It didn't matter in that game. P.J. Washington also was great for Dallas as well. Mavs, 2.5, 217.5, Alex. I would lean to the home team on this one back at home in game 3. Yes, we have seen some weird efforts from Dallas in this postseason. All 3 of their losses, they've been completely non-competitive. But it's either been non-competitive or they win. I would lean to Dallas covering the 2.5. If you want to lay the $1.45 instead, I don't have an issue with that. But that would be the way that I would look at this one and take the Mavs here at home to take a 2-1 series lead.
See, and I'm in the ballpark. We're going to see the Thunder make some adjustments and really show up in this one. I don't think 2.5 is enough points here. I'm going to wait for this one, do an in-game play, but hope to get at least 5 with OKC to cover and keep this game pretty close. I do like some player props, though, Jeff, in this one. And
Please?
I don't want to be one to bet against achievement here, but Luka, no double-double, is plus 280. Now, I know it is pretty common for him to get a double-double, but in this series so far, in game 1, he did not. 19 points, 9 assists, and 6 rebounds. Then in game 2, he had 29 points, 7 assists, and 10 rebounds, so barely got there with those 10 rebounds. He doesn't really have to do that much. You brought up P.J. Washington. I think he is the guy on the board, so I think that is a good price there for a no. And then on the flip side, I kind of like Shea to get a double-double in this one. Same price on the yes, though, plus 280 for him. Now, SGA in game 1, 29 points, 9 assists, and 9 rebounds. He was right there. And in game 2, 33 points, 8 assists, and 12 rebounds. So he did have one in game 2. He's going to have a big game. And you talked about it yesterday. Who's going to be the best player in this series? Is it SGA? Is it Luka? That's going to determine a lot.
Yeah, 100%. That's how the series has gone through 2 games. SGA was the better player in game 1. Oklahoma City wins big. Luka was the better player in game 2. Dallas wins on the road. It does does feel like, hey, which star player ends up being the player of the game, to take a hockey term more so than anything, or a star of the game, I should say. But regardless, I think this is a pretty even series.
It is.
I do like the Mavs, though. Back at home today. Would it shock me if Dallas wins game 3 and then OKC wins game 4? Not one bit. Not one bit. I do think we get back to Oklahoma City 2-2. I don't think Dallas holds serve and wins both at home, but I do think they get this one later this afternoon. All right, let's go to Cleveland. Celtics, 7.5-point favorites, 11.5. Well, the Celtics totally no-showed in game 2. Total no-show. Defense was bad. Their offense was mediocre. Jason Tatum had the weird quote after the game, already making excuses if they don't win a title. Alex, it just all comes back to, do we think Cleveland is good enough in order to win multiple games in this series? I would steer clear of these numbers pre-flop.
Yep.
I would wait in game, see what we get. probably look to take Boston at a better number. Now, that it would not have worked in game 2 because the game was tied at halftime and he got all sorts of good numbers at halftime, and Cleveland whipped them in the second half. But the only hesitation with that line is they seemingly miss Porzingis in this series, are missing Porzingis more, where Porzingis is longer than Al Horford, he's younger than Al Horford, he's quicker than Al Horford, and he's a better shooter than Al Horford. Basically does everything better than Al Horford does at this point in his career. And even though I think Al is still a useful player at this rate, I don't think it ends up costing Boston more than maybe another game in this series. But in the East Final, even with the Knicks banged up and even with Indiana being inexperienced, regardless of who comes through, if Zingis is not ready to go in that next series, that's when things could start possibly getting dicey for Boston, I should say.
You're right. I agree. I think that second game we really saw where they were missing Porzingis, and that it could be a little bit of a problem moving forward. I do think the Celtics get it done. I think they win this one. I mean, this just matches that first series against the Heat way too closely, and they blew out the Heat in game 3. I like the under, though. I bet under 211.5 in this one, because if anything else, I definitely think Boston is going to show up defensively. They're still a top 2 defense in the league, and their shots just weren't going in the other day. So I don't want to bet on them having such positive regression right out of the gates and in Cleveland, but I think they are going to shut down the Cavs as much as possible. It could be a close one at the end, but I think we're pretty safe there going under 211.5.
What was the team total for Cleveland in this game? Again, Sean, what do we have?
It was like 101. Sorry, one more time.
Yeah, that would be the way. I think I'd rather look at that than the whole game, personally.
I like that as well.
Yeah, I think that would be the way to go. I would expect Boston's defense to be significantly better in this game than it was in game 2. Kind of would not shock me one bit if this plays the exact same as the Miami series, where Boston dominates four of the 5, and the game they lose, they just totally no-show completely. But Cleveland is better than the version of Miami that showed up in round 1. So
especially defensively.
Yeah.
That's where I'm in that ballpark. This should be a very low-scoring game because they don't have all the weapons offensively. Of course, they have Mitchell, who is great, and Mobley's been very good in this series, but they don't have a lot of pieces there, so they are going to try and defend and keep the Celtics on their toes and missing those shots as much as possible.
Jared Allen was at shoot-around this morning, still probably not ready, but we will see. That hope is for Cleveland is hoping he will be back at some point during this series. That would at least, again, defensively speaking, as good as Evan Mobley is defensively, Jared Allen, you put both of them together, it'll be very difficult to score in the interior for the Celtics. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we get back, we go to the ice. Rangers look to wrap it up. Colorado looks for a 2-1 lead. And also our thoughts on the 2 last night. A big-time win for Edmonton in overtime. And what are the Bruins doing? Talk about it next. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
From the South Point Studio, the perfect blend of sports.
But I think the Niners are going to wear them down. Detroit Pistons lost their 36 games.
Comedy.
See over-under on that relationship lasting. I'm going to put mayo in the coffee.
Yes. I am beautiful. And a whole lot of Pittsburgh.
In Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh. Yeah. Pittsburgh.
Join Ryan McCormick.
That's at least 2 picks outside of our own in the first round next year. Oreo.
And host Frank Nicotero.
I look at the clock, I go,
Watch Punchlines live at noon every weekday.
Once you've satisfied your hunger, get ready for more of the hottest casino games in Vegas. Our 24-hour, 30-table non-smoking poker room proudly hosts all the most popular poker games with a variety of betting limits. Visit the poker room for a schedule of daily tournaments. Whether you're going to hold 'em or fold 'em, the best place for poker is at South Point Casino. You'll notice that our craps tables are usually the loudest in the casino. If you've never played, join one of our free craps lessons to find out what makes this game so exciting. Check with the craps dealer for schedules and give it a roll. Bingo is also an exciting way to spend your time. We offer 7 sessions of bingo every day. And each session includes a cash ball jackpot, 12 bingo games, a progressive double action game, and a $10,000 bonus coverall. Electronic units are available. If you haven't played bingo with us, give it a try today. Guests can also get in on the action at our one-of-a-kind race and sports books. 2 separate rooms designed to maximize your experience and comfort. Our sports book, with over 400 seats, puts you right in the middle of the action, 24 hours a day.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book. I saw you, Sean. Don't worry. I saw you. I'm Jeff Parles. Alex White's next to me, as always. Did you have any bets on the UFL today, Alex?
I did not.
No,
Do you?
no, of course not. All I know is the Battlehawks of St. Louis again. They're in action taking on Birmingham, which is the matchup of the year in the UFL today. The 2 best teams going at it. I can tell you that right now. Birmingham was favored. I forget the number. Let me pull that up. See, this is live. This is live content for everyone right now. Birmingham in that one is a 4-point favorite against the St. Louis Battlehawks. The matchup of the day, or the year, or honestly the history of the league. Actually, if we want to go that.
What time is that starting?
It's a 1:00 kick out here on the West Coast. 4:00. Birmingham is Central, so 3:00 local in Birmingham.
So nobody wanted to claim the morning, huh? We have baseball that's starting.
Well, we got the Showboats and the Renegades apparently starting in 40 minutes.
Okay.
Renegades are bad. I don't know if the Showboats are good or not. Renegades I know are over so far this year. See,
No,
social
not good.
media can be fun. A lot of this stuff pops up out of nowhere, at least on my end. All right, to the ice. Enough of the UFL. The ice, we go. Game number 4 in Raleigh. Oh, actually, we'll get the game first, and then we'll give you our thoughts on the updated series prices and the other series. Alex, I'll just ask you this: for the Canes, we don't know who's in net yet. At least for this game, that hasn't been announced. $1.45 on Carolina, 5.5 the total. I would just at this rate, I would just look to play this game in game. And I would just see what type of game we get, and I would look to attack the total. If this is one of those where it's clear that the Rangers are going to have a lead and Carolina's going to pull the goalie, we would just bet the over. Get ourselves on overs that are not totally out of control. If not, I would look to come under. It would not shock me if this is more of a grinder, because Carolina's had 2 straight games where they've had over 40 shots on net, and Shesterkin's obviously been incredible in this series.
That is the big question mark here, is can he keep that up? And you know that they're just going to continue with their chances in game 4 and in an elimination game. So I actually lean more to the over, but I don't want to bet an over in a game 4 elimination game because, like you said, we could definitely have a tighter game, especially in the first or second period. So I think you're right. I think it's a great in-game opportunity. But, I mean, again, it is incredible what Shesterkin has done. 45 saves in game 3, 54 saves in game 2. I do think that the Canes will go back to Anderson here in this one, and it is a little bit of a upgrade for them. I have about plus 20 on the other goalie, so I don't want to bet the Canes again. If you've been following Jeff Parles here and taking the plus money with the Rangers, you've been doing pretty well, but I would assume you're going to get their best effort, and they have a good shot of winning this game 4.
Again, it just goes back. This whole series, I think, has been priced in correctly. That's where I have been now. If you look at the expected goals, Carolina should be leading this series 2-1. Should have won game 2 and definitely should have won game 3. But look, as we know, the goalies are the great equalizer. And as has been for this era of Carolina Hurricanes hockey, goaltending has been an issue. It has been an issue for the last few years. Bad goaltending showing up, or mediocre goaltending. I don't want to go all the way to bad, but mediocre goaltending showing up at the wrong times. It showed up at the wrong time a year ago where they got flattened in the Eastern Conference Final. It's showing up in this series where one side, the other side, their goalie's hot, and Carolina's goalies have been okay in this series. I don't want to say they've been bad. They've been okay in this series, and that's just not been good enough against the team that, again, I thought these were two of the three best teams in hockey going into this series. I thought the Rangers were the best one. Carolina was priced as the best one, and the Rangers, again, only three teams have come back from 3-0 down in NHL history, playoff history. I don't expect Carolina to be the fourth. Maybe they win this one, but I would expect if this one gets passed today that the Rangers close it out at MSG 2 nights from now.
It is interesting because this has been a common thing in the NHL. I mean, look at the Bruins last year, most wins. And I know Swayman and Ullmark are very good, but without having a set number one. And then 2 years ago with the Florida Panthers. And it's the same issue. And then Edmonton tries to do it as well. They don't have a elite goalie. They just try and outscore everyone. And that's kind of what the Canes got away with in the regular season. That's why their power rating is so high. But when it comes down to playoff hockey, it's a different animal.
We'll get the Stuart Skinner comments out in a little bit, but happy you had to bring the Oilers up yet again on that one. The other game tonight, the game of the night, really, honestly, between the four playoff games, this is the most intriguing one that's set on these Saturday, Monday schedules now. Dallas on the road tonight in Colorado to take on the Avs. Colorado, $1.35, minus 135 at home, plus 115 on Dallas. Total 6.5. I mean, I feel like if you've had the unders in these two games, you should have got there at least in one of them, and you didn't. That's been the feel in both of these Western Conference series so far.
Yes.
Where we're 4-0 to the over through the first two games of both of those series, and have not played as overs. They just have gotten there because of average goaltending and falling asleep. Thank you, Dallas, in the third period the other day. Alex, I would lean to Colorado at home, though. Short-ish price for Colorado at home. There are some dollar minus 130s out there. Obviously, lay the better price. But I would lean to Colorado at home here in Game 3 to take a 2-1 series late.
I'm with you. I think that's the value right there. I think I made them more $1.55 in this one at home. This is a team that's 33-10 at home this year. They average 4.3 goals compared to 3.8 on the year. And then they also hold teams to 2.7 compared to 3.1. I wish this was a 6 because I would go over pretty confidently with these two teams. I mean, we've known it about Dallas all year long too, even though Ottinger is playing very well right now. But I think total-wise, like you said with the other one, more of an in-game thing. I do like pre-flop Avalanche minus 130.
The other two series, what are the Bruins doing? What have these last two games been for Boston? And quite frankly, Alex, last night probably should have been worse than it was. As ridiculous as that sounds in a game that lands 6-2 Florida, the fact that it was only 1-0 after one period was wild. That should have been about 4-0 at the end of one. And this is more than just, hey, Swayman's not playing well. This is everything is broken for Boston right now. Marchand left the game with an injury last night as well after total Marchand nonsense at the beginning of the game and the opening faceoff. But the Panthers just, all right, they had a bad game one. And then since then, you know what? We're better than you, and we're going to take it to you 100%. Florida's now minus 450 to win this series. Now, we know hockey series can change on a dime, and the pendulum could flip back to Boston with a Game 4 win tomorrow. By the way, Bruins and Panthers Game 4. Panthers minus 145 tomorrow, plus 125 on a takeback on the Bees with a 5.5 total juiced under. Florida, we said it after Game 2. We both think Florida's clearly the better team. We both you like Boston last night. I like Florida. I ended up splitting because the game went over. But I think the Panthers are significantly better, Alex. Which is a significantly better team. And again, as long as we get reasonable Bobrovsky in this series, Florida has no excuse not to put this thing to rest, probably in 6 at this rate at the most.
I don't think it's Swayman's fault at all. I mean, it's been terrible puck management. They haven't been able to string any plays together. I mean, Boston, they just look like a mess right now. I do think it's time to switch the goalies, though, and put Ullmark in there because now would be a good chance where it's more of an opportunity, not so much pressure where they are down and it's an elimination game. I'm all for that rather than putting the goalie in when you're down and it's your last hope and you put him in and it's all pressure there. So, I mean, Ullmark is 3-0 against the Panthers in the regular season. He played very well against them. It's kind of surprised we hadn't seen him yet, but we'll see. I mean, the Panthers are a very good team, and they've been a very good team, and now they get Sam Bennett back. I wasn't aware he'd be back in that game yesterday. Didn't play a whole lot of minutes, but, I mean, when he was in there, he makes such an impact. He had 7 hits, I think, in the time that he was in there. And then we got to check on the status of Brad Marchand because he's a huge veteran for them, huge presence in just the leadership even.
Minus 145 tomorrow, Florida on the road in Boston for Game 4. Looking to take a 3-1 series lead. And then the other series, the scene will shift. There'll be Game 3 tomorrow. We'll get to that in a second. Vancouver last night had an X-goals of 1.74, Alex. They end up with 3. Now, Edmonton, thanks to Evan Bouchard, finds a way. They get it done. 4-3 final in overtime. But if you've had the unders in the first 2 games of the series, you just be like, what do I got to do here to get some reasonable goaltending in this series, at least from one side, where Stuart Skinner's been dreadful in this series. Absolutely dreadful. Now Edmonton gets away with it in game number 2. Game 3, they're a minus 200 favorite tomorrow with a total of 6.5. We still don't expect to see Demko yet for Vancouver. The earliest is still game 4. Shilov's only gave up an extra half goal than expected by the numbers, so not horrible. Still not great, but still more than expected. But Alex, again, this has been the deal for Edmonton for years now. Their goaltending sabotages them in the postseason. And if they're going to find a way to finally make a Stanley Cup final with this group, Stuart Skinner has to at least be passable, which he has not been through 2 games in this series.
That series price right now is very tempting, plus 235 on Vancouver. I mean, if Demko comes back in game 4, we already know that he owned them in the regular season. Vancouver came into the series 4-0, 2 of them with Demko, 2 with DeSmith, but it's just too hard to win these tough playoff series with just 3 guys, right? And that's what we're seeing, like we have with Edmonton. You got McDavid, you got Draisaitl, and then Hyman has been fantastic scoring the goals. But other than that, they don't have a lot of depth. And we've seen Vancouver, they do. And Hughes has been outstanding in this series for them as well. Lucky to get that one yesterday, I'm going to be honest. So moving forward, I don't have a whole lot of faith. I do think game 3 at home, the Oilers find a way. But then after that, it's going to be a very tight series.
All depends on if Demko can come back for me. Even with Skinner being what he has been in this series, I still don't see Edmonton losing this series just because Vancouver's not even creating scoring chances. We talked about this in round 1. They're not creating their own scoring chances. They're just sucking the life out of you with their defense. And Edmonton, through 2 games, now, last night was better. They were awful in game 1 on offense, even though they scored 4. That was just more that Seelovs was a sieve in that game. But it just, Edmonton's talent you would think has to win out in this series. But if there is a team that is going to find a way with limited offense and limited offensive opportunities, this is Vancouver team that did it to Nashville. Yep. And through 2 games, again, with series tied at 1, you're in reasonable shape if you're Vancouver playing your 3rd goaltender.
And I completely retract my statement about saying that the Oilers would have a chance against either Colorado or the Stars. We said it early on. The winner of that is going to take the West, and I think that stands now with how we're seeing the Oilers play late in the stretch.
I would be very surprised if the Oilers push the winner of Colorado, assuming Edmonton even wins this series,
right?
Which is an assumption at this rate. But I do not expect anything from this Edmonton team against either of those teams, who are both clearly better at this rate than the Oilers. And look, Dallas, Colorado, I mean, that is a series fit of a Western Conference final to begin with anyway, Alex. So we'll see how it all plays out on the ice over the next few weeks. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we get back to the Diamond we go. Paul Skeens makes his debut. Also, we'll see what Alex has on her card today on a Saturday. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
South Point is also proud to provide a variety of relaxing amenities for the guests who want to be pampered. Soak up the sun and let your stress melt away in our lagoon-style paradise swimming pool. A relaxing getaway where you can bask in the desert sun and enjoy seasonal food and bar service poolside. And if you really want to escape, come to Spa Costa del Sur. From couple suites to a co-ed wet area, our spa caters to business and leisure travelers who want to unwind and elevate their senses. A visit to one of our spa's steam, sauna, or whirlpool treatment rooms will leave any guest feeling like they can take on the world. Our gaming amenities include over 60 table games and over 2,600 of the most popular slot and video poker machines. We have penny slots, including the popular Buffalo games, and real machines like Wheel of Fortune, Triple Sevens, and Megabucks. If you prefer video poker, try Deuces Wild, Double Double Bonus, or a variety of multi-denomination games. Or try your hand at one of the most popular casino table games in the world, Blackjack. Don't let the game intimidate you. Blackjack, also known as 21, is both easy and fun. And our dealers are always happy to assist. And the best part? Blackjack always pays 3 to 2. Next, check out the roulette tables. Roulette is one of the easiest casino games to learn, and so much fun to play. It's a favorite of both beginners and seasoned players. In addition to blackjack and roulette, our casino pit features over 60 popular table games like Baccarat, Pai Gow Poker, 3-Card Poker, Ultimate Texas Hold'em, and Mississippi Stud. So get out of your room and come join in the fun.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book, our 200th episode. A cast of two helping us out today, and Drew Dog and Sean getting us on the air here, Alex White.
So I did just get a notification as well. I don't want to forget. Tomorrow is Mother's Day.
Yes.
So happy Mother's Day to everybody, and thank you all for watching our shows, especially my mom. Happy Mother's Day.
Was that your notification?
Well, it came up Mother's Day tomorrow.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to talk about the other thing where Mystic Dan is confirmed to be running in the Preakness.
I did get that notification too. Do you want to talk about that?
I'll save that for Ralph Sirocco. Race Day Las Vegas, of course, to Wednesday through Sunday, 7 a.m. right here. Are we doing a Preakness special this week? We're not? Okay. So that's where you're going to get Race Day Las Vegas is where all your Preakness information will be this upcoming week. And Mystic Dan tries to make it 2 for 2 and make it interesting in the Belmont, which, by the way, this year the Belmont Stakes not at Belmont Park because of renovations going on. It is up at Saratoga this year. So who knows what crazy people would do if Mystic Dan would win the Triple Crown and then decide to throw an asterisk on it, which I think would be stupid, but that's a different argument for a different day. All right, to baseball, Alex White. Paul Skeens makes his major league debut this afternoon in Pittsburgh. 4 o'clock start time there at PNC Park. Justin Steele, arguably the Cubs' best pitcher. Even though Imanaga's been amazing, I would still say Steele is their best guy. -110 on Steele. Even money on Skeens. Total 7. Now, Alex, here's my question for you. Paul Skeens' props here today, if my laptop would actually work here for once. There we go. If you want to bet some Paul Skeens props tonight, would you want to do one of two things? His total for strikeouts is 6.5 juice to the under, just because of the question mark of how long he's going to go here. Or do you want to start taking some alternate ones where Skeens could go 5 innings and still strike out 8, +235, 9, +475 sitting out there right now?
I'm not going to touch the strikeout props just yet. I did bet under 3.5 for the first 5 innings. So I do think he will have. I do think he'll have a good showing. I don't trust the Pirates offense right now. They have really struggled in their last 7 games. We have a whole, hold on. 186 is their team batting average in the last 7 games. So with both good pitchers, I'm just going to keep in the park that we aren't going to have very many runs in the first 5.
All right. I am probably going to be a sucker here and take over 8 strikeouts for Skeens. I just, the dominant nature of what he did in AAA. Now, does it always translate right away? No, not always. But we do have Steven Strasburg in our minds. That debut, where he was, of course, the number 1 overall pick, came up. Now, granted, that Pittsburgh team significantly worse than this Cubs team that Skeens is facing here today. And also, yes, let's compare something to a thing that happened over a decade ago with a different pitcher. Yes, that's a great idea by me. But if you can get in the neighborhood of plus 250, I would say as low as plus 225 on 8+ strikeouts, I think that is worth a flyer. Now, don't bet anything crazy on it. Never bet anything crazy on anything, obviously, folks. But smallish bet, 8 in that neighborhood, that's a little bit of plus money. I think that's reasonable to take a flyer on.
We should have had Kenny White jump on today because he is really excited about this debut. And he did say he will dominate in the bigs, too. So I'm curious if he's with you on taking that flyer, going over 8.5. I know Frank is with you, too.
Oh, come on. I mean, an over? A Pittsburgh over?
Correct.
No way. No way that Frank would be on that. The other things that I would be looking at here today in baseball, I just want to fade the Cardinals at this point. I just want to fade the Cardinals. This team, since the beginning of the month of May, okay, Alex White, you look at the way that everything is played out. The Cardinals have only won 1 game in the month. That was against the White Sox. Congratulations. By the way, White Sox actually playing a little bit better right now. And Garrett Crochet was awesome yesterday, beating our theory of, hey, we're a coin flip against the White Sox, we should bet the other side theory. The only win was against the White Sox. They've been non-competitive in this series against Milwaukee, getting outscored 18-3 in the first 2 games. And now they face Milwaukee's best active pitcher in Freddie Peralta here today. Kyle Gibson's on the bump, $1.80 on Peralta and the Brew Crew, 7.5 the total. I would like to fade the Cardinals. I'd also like to take the team total over on St. Louis as well in this game, Alex.
Team total over on?
No, under. Under
okay.
on St. Louis.
Yes.
Under on St. Louis. We're definitely not going over on St. Louis right now.
I don't hate that at all. They are definitely struggling, and the Brewers do look very good. I do think Kyle Gibson has been pretty good. I mean, 3.68 ERA, but 33 strikeouts to his 16 walks, so not terrible there. This is one game I am going to stay away from, but I don't blame you.
What are you on here?
Well, I am in the ballpark that I think this Braves number is a little too high against the Mets and against Christian Scott. I haven't bet that yet, but it is a little tempting here. I have Braves about minus 120, and I believe it is minus 150 right now. So that gives us about 30-cent value on your Mets.
Christian Scott making his second major league start. Rough beginnings, but ended up pitching very well in St. Pete a week ago. Braves, you were on Atlanta last night. Braves win that one 4-2. Ronald Acuna hit one of the furthest balls I've ever seen hit in an actual game at Citi Field last night out to dead center. 472 or 462 for Acuna on that one last night. Just looking at the rest of the card here, I really would like to take Cole Ragans here today for the Royals, but I don't want to lay $1.60 on the road with Kansas City, even though the Royals have been a nice, pleasant surprise early in the season here. I know the Angels, even though you were saying the Angels were better than we were giving them credit for, it didn't look at the case yesterday. This one has moved, by the way, 26 cents from the opener. Kansas City was minus 134 at the opener. It's now minus 160. So a huge mover with the Kansas City Ace going here in Anaheim here tonight, Alex.
Significantly better record, the Royals, 24-16 compared to that 14-25. I will say I made the case for a couple teams. At least the Astros have not made me look crazy, and they've won a couple.
Christian Javier, Tariq Skubal, by the way, the matchup in Detroit today, minus 148 on Skubal, which I was going to say, the way to my screen had it reversed, whereas Houston was favored. Like, well, that would be the best bet of all time there, or not of all time, but one of the better bets of the week on Detroit if you were getting that number with Skubal. But this is right, minus 148 plus 138. That's another one. There have been a lot of big movers, 20 cents move on that one as well. That opened $1.26 on the Detroit Tigers. Anything else jumping out for you here today, Alex?
I know we've seen a lot of unders, and even yesterday we couldn't get there with the Rangers and Rockies. I don't know what happened to Texas in that game. I do like the Rangers today, money line, to come back and beat Colorado. I also like the Dodgers and the Padres over that 8.5 for these two. Yesterday we saw a really good pitching duel between these two. Padres won that one 2-1. I think we're going to see the opposite today. Not their best pitchers on the mound for either team. And we know the Dodgers offense.
Big mover on that total, up to 9.5 now on that total. So a whole run move from where it opened.
Yeah, I don't love it there.
On the Dodgers and the Padres. Paxton and Waldron, your pitching matchup in San Diego. Padres in dramatic fashion win it 2-1 last night. Our IRAs with a walk-off single for San Diego. Looking at the rest of the card, there's not much here that I would even remotely consider. Nice job by the Red Sox offense last night, just getting completely shut down by Patrick Corbin. Bravo. Well, great work there. Nats, by the way, a game over 500 right now in the season at 19-18. A really nice job by Davey Martinez and company to get that team over 500 nearly through 40 games with not a lot on that roster.
No, I agree with you. And that's kind of where I was in the ballpark with the Angels without Showtime, and then they lose Mike Trout, but still been able to win a few, but I still am not comfortable betting them just yet. Would you go back on the Red Sox today to go over their team total?
No, I would steer clear. Even though in theory, Irvin's a guy they should hit. Again, $1.51 on Boston. That one's been a little bit of a mover. If you made me bet something in that game, that'd probably be the only way I would look to go over a team total, but not much else would even remotely come to fruition on that one. By the way, Nick Lodolo makes a return as well for Cincinnati. He's a $1.36 favorite on the road tonight at the Giants. What happened to the Giants? Giants got off to this good start, and the Giants just painfully mediocre now, 6 games under 500 in that NL West. A lot of average baseball teams in the National League after you get past the top, Alex. More so average than totally awful, as opposed to Marlins and the Rockies are really the only 2 truly pathetic teams in the NL this year.
I wanted to ask Chris Andrews, and we'll have him on soon, but I am curious because, there are some people that bet baseball, and they are consistent day after day. I wonder which is worse for them. Betting on the good team. So right now, Phillies, they get there in their team total, win comfortably yesterday. Good team to keep betting. But then on the flip side, there's those teams to bet against, right? Of course, the Rockies did win yesterday, so that wouldn't have worked in that case. But I'm just curious from a book standpoint, which one gets bet more often?
Well, it'll be a question for him.
Yeah.
Be a question for him more so than me. All right, Alex, anything else before we say bon voyage on a Saturday on our 200th episode?
That's it. So we have a lot of in-game today.
Yes.
Pre-flop, I am on the Avs -130 at home over the Stars. I am on the under in the Celtics game. You like Cavs team total under a little bit more.
That would be a lean more so than anything. Colorado Avalanche is the big one for me today. Avs, and we'll take that Skeens over 8 plus strikeouts, so that's over 7.5 technically for Skeens, and then we'll take. We also like the Mavs here tonight, this afternoon against Oklahoma City, at least on my end. Thank you for being with us. 200 episodes strong at this rate. Hopefully we have more than 200 more for you, at least through the time. Well, Chris, look who's walking in. Let him answer the question. Come on. Alex has a question for you.
I heard my name.
Yeah, please, come in.
Actually, I had to have something to tell you guys anyway, but
Please. Chris Andrews is here.
For our 200th episode.
200 episodes, Chris.
200 episodes?
200 episodes.
I knew we'd make it.
Never a doubt, right?
There's a few doubts along the way. But here we are. Actually, the first time, before we went any further, I want to come and tell you, I didn't know if this would affect your handicapping. It's going to be cold and rainy in Pittsburgh today.
It is. It's going to be one
of
of those.
Like 56.
It's that weird track that started in Denver 2 days ago, where it's just been this miserable trek especially for May 11th.
I don't know where it started, but my daughter lives in Helena, Montana. They had like 2-3 inches of snow in her backyard. She was showing me pictures. So it's
boy. Well,
west of Denver.
I will say though, that can work both ways with the
I
weather.
know.
Where it can work that it's much harder to hit in
Yeah.
those horrible conditions. The only other counter to that would be, hey, do we only throw this kid 3 innings? Which would be the other concern on that.
I'm on a thread still with a bunch of high school friends and stuff, and they say, well, everybody's so excited in Pittsburgh, but knowing it's the Pirates, we're trying not to be overly optimistic. And I love that. What was your batting average? You said, what, 180 or
180.
something?
180.
Oh, my God.
pretty good, right?
186.
Oh, dear God in heaven. It's terrible.
That's just the last 7 games, so it's not for the whole season.
Oh, man, but they've been terrible. Even like O'Neal Cruz is finally hitting the ball a little bit. I was watching for a long time. He was right around the Mendoza line. And I think he's up to about 240 or so now. But everybody else, there's a lot of guys right at Mendoza. By the way, I like your shirt. You got the Robert Parrish 0 on the back, right? Yeah.
Well,
Jason Tatum.
Tatum now.
Jason
but
Tatum. I'm still old school. I was going Robert Parrish.
Parrish 00?
Oh, he might have been double. I think he was single 0.
I'm gonna have to check that. Real
Okay.
quick.
Anyway, you were asking me what people bet more on. Okay. I would say this. It's pretty evenly split. I think most of the pros are betting against teams,
okay.
and most of the public would bet on teams. Now, either way, you're laying juice usually. So I would tell anybody out there, be careful. But I would also tell you, we've not had a good baseball season as bookmakers.
Mhm.
There's been a lot of teams that have been very easy to figure, sort of, betting against or betting
Right.
on, So,
Well, and also too, so everyone loves the yes/no first innings.
I love those. Yeah.
Teams aren't scoring in this month in the first inning.
Usually,
It's usually pretty close, but this is
Yeah.
over 60% no-run first inning so far, at least the first 10 days of May.
well, usually the way we've seen it in the past, no is probably the way to bet in April.
Right.
And then once we hit about May, it's usually the yes is the way to bet, but not yet. Not yet. But, but you talked about the weather, Jeff, that started actually west of Denver.
Yeah.
And has been that is going to influence some numbers too. But I think once things heat up, look to bet yeses on those first innings. And really, when you think about it, I know everybody thinks about, well, pitchers in good form, but so your batting, your lineup is geared towards, those top 3 guys and
Right.
whatever. I think if you look back, and I know it's true with Mickey Mantle, and I think it was true with Babe Ruth too, where were most of their home runs? First inning. Because they got up. They were up all the time.
By the way, Robert Parrish, 00.
Double 0.
Double
Jeez,
zero.
you got me. Okay.
00.
New school got me with the 0.
As we also know, Chris, Robert Parrish went to Centenary College. And do you know what the nickname for Centenary College in Louisiana is?
The Sentinels.
That's a reasonable guess and what would be a logical guess. They are the Centenary Gentlemen.
Oh, the gentlemen.
The gentlemen.
Oh,
The gentlemen.
They're known for their manners, I guess.
I mean, what a ridiculous mascot, to say the very least. Before we let you go back to work,
Mhm.
Chris, just the hockey playoffs, the basketball playoffs. Obviously, the action's been great so
Mhm.
far, and I mean, last night for the basketball, my goodness, well, at least
Yeah.
that Knicks Pacers series. If you have any real rooting interest, you check your blood pressure at the
Yeah.
end of those games.
Well, we needed the dog. That actually came out really good.
That
We
was good.
needed a dog to cover but not win. But that was just a great, great game. Turned off the Denver game after,
Yeah, it was pretty quick.
halfway through the third period, switched to some hockey. That was a great hockey game too. And, I'd been traveling the day before, so I was asleep. I didn't get to see that overtime goal in the Edmonton game. So, but that's going to be interesting. And some guy had a great point the other day between Draisaitl and McDavid. If they never win a cup, like what's their legacy going to be?
That is very
Not good.
Yeah, I mean, because they've been compared to like Crosby and Malkin.
Yeah.
And I can see the comparisons. I think it's to a point that's valid. But if they never win a cup, and those guys have 3, I don't know.
It'll be interesting because, of course, like McDavid obviously got drafted as this, hey, he's going to save the
Yeah.
franchise.
Right.
'Cause they were,
And he's a great player.
other than that random cup final appearance in the mid-2000s when they got there as an 8 and lost to Carolina, ever since Gretzky left, that franchise is.
Well, they have 1 cup without Gretzky.
Yeah.
The first year, I think.
Well, with Messier was still there.
With
right?
Messier was
Yeah.
still there.
So like that Gretzky.
He ain't bad either, by the way. Yeah.
He's pretty good too.
Yeah.
So like once you get out of that Gretzky Messier era,
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, one cup appearance. And
Yeah.
that's been it.
So are those two skating on the same line right now for because I think they've assisted on each
They
other.
were for a piece of the game.
Yeah, I
last
know.
night.
Well, that's not. I was.
That's not
I was
normal,
back
no.
and forth. Yeah, that's
No.
usually Dreisaitl's their second line center, right?
Yeah, usually they're separated because just
Yeah.
having Draisaitl be on a different line of McDavid gives you a little extra.
Well, I mean, I think as another old slogan, I don't know how true it is, but they say during the regular season it's your first two lines that get you the wins, but in the playoffs, it's your third and fourth lines that have to perform. So
Well, depth is critical.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
To say the very least. All right. Well,
I'll
Chris,
let you guys go back. I want
200 episodes, Chris.
200 episodes. Okay, I actually wanted to talk to the boys in the back, but I heard my name mentioned. I figured, what the hell? I might as well come on.
No,
So.
we're never going to say no to you, Chris.
And we need an appearance next week too because we want to break down that chart for
Yeah.
Ralph Michaels and
Yeah, I probably need about 15 minutes to go
Yeah.
through that. But again, once again, Ralph Michaels, a friend of mine, does some great work. If you need any kind of statistical observation of any kind, I just floated this theory to him. I had nothing behind it really, but I sent it to Ralph, and within a day I got this chart, and he's great. Those guys over there at Wager Talk, some of them are real good friends of mine. And I know they work hard. I hate to be the pointing out touts. I mean, it's kind of like, I'm a bookmaker. It's probably not the coolest thing, but I know those guys over there work hard. Some of them, Marco and Brian Leonard and Johnny Detroit's a good friend of mine. So I know those guys work hard. I would say that.
I have to bring one thing up because we were in the scramble on Monday, Alex. You, me, Frank, and Ryan. What do you make our total for what we're going to score on the scramble, Chris? It's a par 72 course.
Par 72.
Par 72.
Is it best ball?
Best ball
Yes.
scramble.
Best ball scramble. Those you could go low on those, but I'm going to say 82.
Oh, I think we'll go under that.
You think you go
I
under?
think we're going to go under that
Okay.
because Alex, as you've brought up, you're going to be teeing off from the
that's right.
the women's tees.
Yeah.
So
It's Frank?
Well, no, Alex actually did ask that question the other day. I said Frank's just not going to hit it to get to the women's tees from our tee box.
Maybe not. Yeah.
But no, I mean, Alex, if you have a good day,
Right.
if you have a good day, you're
Yeah.
hitting good drives.
Yeah.
I think we can at least we can shoot even par.
You think so?
I think we have a
Okay.
shot of shooting even par.
Okay. Well, surprise me then.
If we do it, Chris,
Yeah.
it will be unbelievable.
That'd
Yeah.
be great.
It'll be shocking.
That'd be great.
I do think we are going to finish near the bottom, though, of what the scramble is on Monday.
Okay, I've kind of heard that, and but anyway, I need to talk to the boys in the back here. So have a great finish to the show.
Well, we'll make it right there.
Yep.
We'll see you guys on Tuesday, 9 a.m. We're back with Sports by the Book. Of course, Race Day Las Vegas tomorrow at 7. There's no punchlines on Monday. So after Race Day Las Vegas, we're the next ones up on Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. We'll see you then. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Thank you for watching us as we've made it to 200 episodes.